You will party house.
What on down? Right here!
Yeah.
We're going in.
That's as deep as we go to. He's just going to make a U-turn. Is this like the Raiders of the Lost Ark ride?
Guys, back in 1887, nobody in this part of the country had ever seen a light bulb before, so the owner of the cave bought a steam-powered generator, run them Thomas Edison lights all through the cave. People came here from about 15 miles away, horseback and buggy, paid a nickel to go in the cave. Bet you wish it was 1887 today. Anyway, people come down here, they'd pay a nickel to go in the cave. They didn't want to see the cave. They wanted to see what that new light bulb thing was all about. Guys, this is a steam engine right here. You'd put wood down here in the bottom and get a good fire going. There'd be water up here. It'd boil that water into steam. That steam would run down the pipe, turn that piston, turn that wheel, run that generator. Well, if you got a steam engine, you gotta have a steam whistle, guys. All right, we're gonna get your picture taken at the next stop. You guys ready to go?
Something dripped on me.
Yep.
Don't stand up right there.
Just keep your hands and legs inside the car. Don't lie.
There are a few low spots in the cave. There's one right up here on my side. It's where I tell everybody I got my last haircut at. Anyway, guys, I'll point them out, and you'll figure out what to do after the first or second time, ain't you? There it goes. Like I said, watch your head right here, guys. There's something right here.
Oh, Mom, watch your head.
I'm ducking.
Scared me.
Guys, right here in front of me is a good old Missouri noggin knocker. That's it. What do you think? This cave is alive and growing, and it grows by water. So if you get dripped on, oh well, sorry about that. Guys, over here on the passenger side, you're going to see cages like that all through the cave. That's right, that's where we catch them wild Tupperware bowls at. I'll tell you, the bowls are easy. Them lids, man, they're quick. You ain't buying it, huh? The scientists are doing a water evaporation experiment in the cave. There's a measured amount of water in that Tupperware bowl. They come by once a month, measure it. They're checking to see how much moisture we're sucking out of the cave. A lot of times we have 200 people in the cave at once. We're all putting off body heat, carbon monoxide. It is drying the cave out slowly but surely. So they're trying to figure out how much each room is, how much every month, and talking about putting misters in with fans to blow that much moisture back here to keep the cave alive and growing. So that's what them are all about. If you ask me again, they're where we catch big rats at. We don't have any rats. You guys are gonna be quiet all the way through here.
You don't want to start my brother up, believe me. Quiet. I can leave you here.
What did you say? Ooh, oh, look at that rock. Look at it. Hi. Hi.
We got a cool one, yeah.
Watch out for the rats. We've been told enough. It's growing.
But I'm not going there, guys. Anyway, guys, the cave, the ceiling is the ocean floor. From a long time ago. Central part of the U.S. used to be a shallow ocean. As the land plates pushed together, they slowly but surely lifted up the central part of the U.S. up out of the water. In our ceiling there, we find seashells, starfish, and cryonoid creatures been fossilized up there for centuries. Over here on the wall, guys, after the land pushed up the ocean, that floor dried out up there, what we call limestone today. Missouri has about 7,000 limestone caves we know about so far. After that lifted up, a river started flowing underneath that ocean floor and carved this cave out layer after layer after layer. We're driving on the old dry riverbed today, guys. There's about 30 feet of dirt above us right now. When it rains up there, the water works its way down through the soil. As it does, it picks up whatever minerals in the ground. Most of this cave will be calcite or calcium. Same thing your teeth are made out of. And the water will come down, hit that ceiling, move around until it finds cracks in the ceiling like these here. Water will puddle up over there on the other side, and that water will start seeping through them cracks. As it does, it pulls through some of that mineral, guys. Makes these little formations right here. At this point, these formations are called soda straws. The reason they're called soda straws is they are hollow in the center and the water runs through the center of them. On average, when they get about 8 to 10 inches long, they will clog up in the center. Then they turn into what we call stalactites. These here are stalactites. Now the water runs on the outside, comes down, makes that more pointed look, guys. Right over here where my light's at now, these formations here, you have to realize they used to be little baby soda straws, but these are hundreds of thousands of years old. These formations they named curtains or draperies, basically because they look like a curtain or drapery that's been pulled back from a window. Guys, this formation here, it drips down constantly onto this stalagmite. Guys, the way this stalagmite came about is the water dripping from there, the minerals that didn't stick up there fell down here and started piling on top of itself, and it started growing upward, guys. One day these two will meet somewhere in the middle, and then it will be called a column, but we're not going to stick around to watch it grow because, well, it just doesn't grow very fast. Give you an idea about how fast it grows. If I get one ice cube out of my freezer and set it on top of there, let it melt. The amount of water left on top running down the sides equals 100 to 125 years of growth in this cave. So if you spent your whole life down here watching that, you wouldn't even be able to tell the difference, guys. Kind of neat, isn't it? Right over here on the far wall over here, this looks like a little waterfall here. People say that looks like lava. That stuff there's called flowstone. What's happening there, the water's coming from between the ceiling and the wall comes out and flows down. Every time a little bit of water comes through there, it leaves a little bit more mineral, guys. Scientists have no idea how old the cave is. One scientist said if you'd push me for an answer, I'd say probably close to 2 million years old. But nobody knows. There's no way to prove him right or wrong. He could say anything. Nobody knows the age of any formation in this cave except for one and only one. And I'm going to talk about it a little bit at our next stop. You got any questions?
Crickets.
I just got dripped on.
Well, like I said, they
You're
call
growing.
that. If you're going through the cave, you get dripped on. It's a cave kissing you, they say. And if you get dripped on the way out, it's a cave crying because you're leaving. I call it annoying after a while. But you call it whatever you want.
This is so neat. pipe.
That's an old water well casing put in here in 1941. Right now, we drove underneath the parking lot, you parked on underneath the road you came in on, we're on the property across the road. There's about 92 feet of dirt above us right now. Anyway, in 1941, a guy bought that land, built a house, wanted to put a well in, so he went and found the owner of the cave and said, hey, do you mind if I put a well in? He said, no, but I'm gonna show you where to put it, cause I'm gonna make sure that pipe right there don't end up in my cave. And anyway, that's where he told him to put it. He said it'll be at least 10 foot on the other side of the wall. Anyway, we can learn from his mistake. That pipe was all black in 1941, now it's all covered in calcite and calcium, and see them little hair-like things hanging down? That's the roots from an oak tree 92 feet above us. Roots laid up against that pipe shot down here looking for water. See our antenna here? That's where we call the UFOs, the aliens at. No, guys, I have a radio up here in case something happens down here, that's what that's for. You guys see all them little formations that are forming up there around that pipe? Yeah. They started growing in 1941 when they punched that hole in there. That makes them 77 years old. You guys see how far them come down from the ceiling hanging down there?
Oh, yeah.
It took 77 years for those to grow that big. If that's the case, guys, I wonder how many years it took to grow this one.
Wow. It's like a big
2 or 3 more days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys ever seen Total Darkness before?
Yes. In a cave.
In a cave.
Only in a cave.
There's only 2 places you can find total darkness, they say. One's in a cave and the other one's at the bottom of the ocean. Well, I've never been to the bottom of the ocean, so I don't know. Well, guys, back in 1862, a guy named John Knox homesteaded about 150 acres of ground here. He was out hunting one day with his dog, and the dog started chasing the small animal up the side of the hill and just disappeared. John couldn't figure out what happened to the dog, so he went up and down the hill looking for him. Finally found the entrance to the cave behind some brush, a little hole big enough to crawl through on your hands and knees. Crawled back in here about 30 feet or so to where he could stand up, stood up, hollered for his dog, got him and got out. Anyway, guys, John didn't tell anybody about the cave until 1867. All right, guys, I told you about John finding the cave in 1862. You know, John didn't tell anybody about the cave till 1867. Then he run an ad in the Springfield newspaper and said, hey, I found a cave. Would anybody like to explore it? 12 girls showed up, brought 2 candles with them. Those girls were 13 to 19 years old. What do you think? They were the very first explorers in this cave in 1867. Awesome. But look back there at that white column, guys. Don't look very good now. That light going through that carbon filament made everything look dirty and dark. That was the lighting in the cave till the early 1960s. Then we put these lights in. Now you can see the true color of the formation. What do you think? Guys, we're getting ready to go over 2 sinkholes. The first one's 20 foot deep, 40 feet across, and the second one, well, it's about 50 foot deep, about 75 feet across. At the bottom of that hole, you can see an entrance into another cave. That's right now we're riding on top of another cave. There's a cave below us that runs about 3.5 miles long. This one here only runs about a half mile back. The one below us starts out up by the Springfield airport and about 70, 80 little sinkholes. Well, a couple of them are pretty good size, and dumps out about a quarter mile off the parking lot from where you parked at to a place called Indian Springs. Guys, that hole down there underneath of it's kind of neat. About 1/4 of it you can crawl through on your hands and knees, and well, the rest of it you got to lay on your belly, crawl, pull, or drag yourself.
My goodness.
You guys all want to run down there and check it out?
No,
down there.
thanks.
Me either. So they don't let anybody down there anymore except the scientists and the conservationists. push 9,000 gallons of water a minute through that hole down there. But more than that, it's trying to get in those holes up by the airport, the water backs up in here. May before last, we had like 13 inches of rain in about as many hours. And we had water over this top rail here all the way back to where you got your picture taken. Took 7 days before we could get back in here, about another 10 to run out of the holes down there. And about 3.5 years before that, we had a lot of rain over a 2.5 week period, and it was 14 days before we could get back in here. You know, there's 2 levels to this cave right now, but down in that other cave, there's some pretty good sized sinkholes down there, and well, they're full of water. They haven't found a way to drain out yet. When they do, there'll be 3 levels, but right now we just have the 2. But down in them waters, we have 3 different kind of animals that live. Got a bunch of little blind cave fish, about the size of a goldfish. They're white, translucent color. If you pick one up and look on its side, you can see its heart beating, its lungs working. They're kind of neat. Bunch of blind salamanders down there and a bunch of blind crayfish, or we call them crawdads where I grew up at. They live down there in total darkness, no need for eyes, so they don't have any. Anyway, they are protected by the state of Missouri, so the Missouri Conservationist crawls back there about once a year, does water samples, make sure no pollution's got in there. He also checks to make sure nothing else got in there hurting them, and well, they were doing great last time they was down there, guys. Anyway, our next stop back here, we're gonna be a half mile back in the cave. There's gonna be 123 feet of dirt above our head, guys. We're gonna watch a short film, talks about what a cave is. You'll also see one of each of those little critters I told you about down there. And another thing down there, we have about 50 bats live back up in there. Got 2 kinds of bats. Got a little brown bat, which is real common around here, about the size of a small child's fist. Has a wingspan of about 7 to 8 inches. And then we have a bunch of eastern bats. They're called pipistrelles. Nobody has any idea how they got here, but they're here. They're about the size of my thumb. Matter of fact, they're tricolor. They're real hairy. They've got a wingspan of about 4 inches. Had a bunch of kids in here a while back, and there was one hanging off the ceiling, and the little kid goes, "Oh wow, that looks like a big hairy chicken McNugget." So we call them our chicken McNugget bats now. So anyway, they really look like a mouse with wings. That's what they look like, a hairy mouse. Anyway, guys, there's back behind that movie screen I was telling you about 30 yards back there, there's a light back there, and that is the end of this upper cave. Right behind that light, it drops straight down into this other cave. Anyway, guys, after that movie, we're going to backtrack and go to a room called the auditorium room.
You start off.
Guys, back yeah, I have to have a song to do. Guys, that stage was built in 1961, but back in the 1920s, during the time called Prohibition, that was a time it was against the law to have alcohol in the U.S. period. Well, you know, a bunch of hillbillies, they just threw theirs out in the timber and came down here and partied at night. They had a bar went all the way across there. Piano set out here. This whole area right here was a big wooden dance floor. Tables up against the wall. Over here on the other side of the cave where they gambled at. Anyway, guys, everything went really good down here from 1921 till 1924. One night in 1924, two brothers got in a fight over a girl. One brother shot and killed the other one. That's when the sheriff had to shut them down. It was noted that the sheriff was pretty upset with those boys because he didn't have anywhere to go at night. It was noted he was down here about every other night, got all the free drinks he wanted, and I'm sure he got a little kickback here today. Wow. You guys all been to Branson?
Yeah.
You know where Branson started at, don't you? Started right here on this stage in 1961. They built that stage in 1961. A group called the Ozark Mountain Playboys played here from 61 till about 1970. 1970, they moved to Branson and changed their name to the Presleys. Grandpa used to be a guide here during the day and played and sang up there at night. Back in the 60s, the old-time country singers like Tom T. Hall, Ray Price, Bobby Baird, Buck Owens, all them guys, every time they come through this area, they played on that stage here. Matter of fact, the last concert Buck Owens had down here, he had 700 people in the cave, and the rest of them couldn't get in. And so the Presleys said, well, we've got to do something. We're running out of room, so they moved to Branson. Well, they'd been the lead-in singers for these groups for years off and on, so whenever they went down there, the rest of them just followed them, played in their theater, and then started buying land, building their own. So that's really how Branson got kicked off. All right, guys, we're going down to the next room. Since you wouldn't sing for us, young lady, the next room's called the breakdown room. That's right, you can break dance for us. Yeah, you're ready, I can see it. There we go, guys. Mike. Guys, all the way down through this area here, you see that dark spot? Somebody didn't die. Get lower. There's some more of my hair. Guys, this is the breakdown room. All this stuff right here, well, it used to be up there. You can see where the ceilings fell in. There's once. There's twice, guys. Here's 3 times.
Just don't let it happen right now.
We don't worry about it falling anymore because that column's supporting it now. Well, it ain't falling, is it? It's working. Guys, when we go through this little opening, look up at the ceiling. If you're taking pictures, good place to take a picture too. Make my call. Guys, be sure to look up at the ceiling.
Look at that.
It does.
Wow.
That is pretty.
A lot of silver straws. Wow. Seems like it'd be pretty weird right here.
Guys, this room here is called the Hall of Giants. This is the very first room you come into from the original entrance, guys. I told you those 12 girls had 2 candles. This is what they had right here.
My goodness.
We call this the first incandescent light. We know that.
Incandescent.
We think. Girls made them this way for a couple of reasons. One is they're pretty darn hard to blow out. And you guys got dripped on, haven't you?
Mm-hmm.
You didn't have to worry about a drop of water falling off the ceiling on top of that candle. I had a guy here about 3 weeks ago, and I lit that candle and started coming back here. He goes, "Man, I'm a survivalist. Where can you buy plans to make that?" I go, "What?" And he goes, "I'm a survivalist. Where can I get plans to make that?" And I'm thinking, you can't figure out how to make that without a plan. You don't need to worry about
You're not
surviving.
gonna survive.
You won't be around very long. Guys, I'm gonna go down there and show you how the girls saw these formations in 1867. Then I'll turn the lights on and show you how we see them today. And well, I gotta work my way back around here. Take me about 20 minutes or so. I'll be right back. So long, guys. As far as we know, them 12 girls were the very first explorers in this cave, guys. Pretty gutsy little things. We do know when the girls got to these two columns here, they named them the twins, so that's their name. This is basically the way they saw these formations in 1867.
Wow.
I wonder what they'd have thought if they could see them the way we do today.
Wow.
I'd rather see it that way, wouldn't you?
Yes.
Guys, these are all growing. They're growing together this way. This one's filling up in the center too. One day those two will grow together and it'll just be one gigantic column instead of two. Probably look a lot like that column there, or that gigantic column over there.
Red roses too.
You guys ever watch Scooby-Doo growing up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You ever seen the Scooby-Doo cartoon have a face of a ghost looks like that right there?
Yeah. You
Yeah.
don't see it come
It does, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
It's a ghost, he's in a
It
cave.
does.
I'm not so sure that guy didn't come down here to go to the cave. Could be wrong. Over here on the far passing side up against that far wall, that's where the original opening, where you come through there. Like I said, if it's not raining, doesn't look like it is. I'll show you what's left of that when we pull it out here, guys. Well, guys, we hope you had a little fun. Hope you enjoyed yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
Guys, we got one more spot you need to watch your head at, and that's from the doorway out. So
Why do you keep the entrances closed?
keep the exit and the entrance closed because it's causing air to go through the cave and it's sucking the
moisture
moisture out of the cave. If it wasn't for that, before the scientists told us that, we kept them open. Only locked them at night, but now we're supposed to open and close them. Like I said, guys, from the doorway out, watch your head. 20s, they dug all that out underneath here. And they dug that out above there and put retaining rock to keep that land from falling down. And about 3 or 4 feet this way from that rock overhang there, they backfilled all this in the 60s to get the Jeeps in and out. Before that, it looked just like that hillside. Right here's where the original entrance was. You had to get on your hands and knees. Like I said, that was all dug out in the 20s. Before that,